one of my favorite Eastern Orthodox apologists, one of the greatest Eastern Orthodox apologists of all time, James White, said, "It seems like the Eastern Orthodox Church is frozen in the year 800, exactly when Christianity took over the Byzantine Empire. The Church of Christ is still here. It's in the Orthodox Church."
Maybe Alex Sorin is part of the Ortho Bros. I've heard a lot about the Ortho Bros online. I've run into only a few so far. Well, it could be that I've run into them more slowly and therefore have banned most of them, so I don't hit them as a big group all the time. They do not have a good reputation online at all from anybody. In fact, I have an Orthodox PowerPoint that was given a couple years ago. And one of the complaints was the behavior of online Orthodox young men. And I've seen discussions from more solid, mature Orthodox leaders really concerned about the behavior of the Ortho Bros online. And I have seen foul language. Of course, I've seen foul language from Roman Catholics. I've seen foul language from supposed Protestants. Not nearly as much as I see from Roman Catholics. I mean, Roman Catholicism and profanity is a fascinating subject. I've always found many Roman Catholics more than willing to drop the F-bombs and everything else in the middle of a theological conversation, which I've always just gone, where did that come from? And normally is the end of the conversation too, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so I don't know if he's one of the Ortho Bros. I'm sorry, just this was sent to me, and it's like, okay. And you say, well, why are you talking about it? Because he talked about me. That's why it was sent to me. Did you hear this? You might find this interesting. And so here's, this is from Modern Day Debate, Samuel Farag versus Alex Sorin. I mean, this thing is like very long. Unfortunately, the font is too small to see. Oh, there you go. 5.5 hours? Does that say 5 hours and 30? That says 5 hours and 33 minutes. Let me just tell you right now, I'm not doing any debates that are 5 hours and 33 minutes long. So anyways, here's the section. Let's see what happened here.
So the Christ Church, the one that he established, has to fulfill all these criteria. One of the more interesting ones I see in Daniel 2 is that it will crush those kings, the empires that came before it. Who took over the Roman Empire? Who were the Christians at the time Christianity became the official religion of the empire? You see St. Gregory of Nazianzus, St. Basil, the Cappadocian fathers, and their progenitors, St. Cyril of Alexandria. You see these Christians, all of them believed in apostolic succession. All of them believed that the Eucharist was a propitiatory sacrifice. All of them believed that the Eucharist had real spiritual effects, that it was life-giving, the antidote to death, and the medicine for eternal life. None of the early Christians understood the scriptures the way that a Baptist would. And moreover, Pastor Sam did not rise to my challenge to show even one person from the year 100 to the year 1100 that understood the scriptures in the way that he does. There is nobody that understood the scriptures that we know about. You might say that there's a remnant, but that is not the church that I read about in Daniel, the one that the Christ promised to us that will prevail over all the heresies. He's talking about a church that lost to heresies. This is a ragtag band of rebels somewhere. That's not the church that conquered the Roman Empire that will last forever and never fall away. The Church of Christ is still here. It's in the Orthodox Church. And as one of my favorite Eastern Orthodox apologists, one of the greatest Eastern Orthodox apologists of all time, James White, said, it seems like the Eastern Orthodox Church is frozen in the year 800, exactly when Christianity took over the Byzantine Empire. In fulfillment of the prophecies that you see in Daniel, there is no Baptist Christian that did that.
Okay, so there's the comment. I'm his favorite Eastern Orthodox apologist. Now, funny thing is, we haven't done our first Eastern Orthodox debate yet, and I suppose if in October things went really well for the other side, then there might be some kind of logical, rational reason to make such a statement. But I have not written on the subject. We haven't done any of the two currently scheduled debates with leading Orthodox apologists as yet. So when I heard this, I'm just like, see, it would just never cross my mind to use this kind of rhetoric. I don't understand the motivation. Evidently, this is what young men online want. They don't want truthfulness. They don't want accuracy. They don't want consistency. They want this kind of mocking rhetoric that doesn't actually make you think, because a thinking person would go, well, wait a minute. How can that be? I mean, what's the scholarly or factual backing for such a statement? Well, there isn't any. And they might say, well, it's not supposed to be. It was meant to be funny. Well, it's not funny. If you think that's funny, you have a very odd, warped sense of humor. But it's just insulting. And it's not only insulting to me, it's insulting to the audience. Now, what did I say? Yes, I believe, as I look at church history, as I look at the development of doctrine and theology over time, what you have in the traditions of Eastern Orthodoxy is Byzantine state religion in the year 800. So 787, Empress Irene, you have the end of the iconoclastic controversy in essence. I mean, there's actually a little period after that. You've got the Frankfurt and things like that. But leaving that aside in the West, fundamentally, you have the foundations of Eastern Orthodoxy today in the year 800. Has there been developments? Well, I've been watching some Gavin Ortland dialogues he's had with a couple different people. One of those is what I wanted to have queued up. I wanted to play a segment of that, not going to be able to get to it because I couldn't find the time index. Anyway, and it's fascinating to hear the conversation about whether Protestants can be viewed as Christians, because you have the Synod of Jerusalem, 1672, in response to the Syro-Lucaris stuff, and you have the Confession of the Cetheus, and clear statements about the heresies. And I'll hold this off until I can play the section, but there's a conversation that Gavin had with a gentleman, and I'll wait to play it, but just the absolute detestation of Reformed theology. He just makes this plain statement. Anybody who believes that kind of theology, that God has determined who's going to be saved and who's not going to be saved, and it's all to his glory, cannot possibly be a Christian, has never heard the voice of Christ. Just utterly impossible. Okay? That's, that kind of strident language is what you have in official documents of that time. Today, you have different perspectives. Today, you have people who have a wider perspective for different reasons, but have a wider perspective within Orthodoxy. And it does seem to me that Orthodoxy has the same problem everybody else has. Who gets to define it? Now, even today, in Roman Catholicism, who gets to define it? Well, the Pope does. Well, which one? One from 100 years ago, one from last year. Which one gets to do that? Is it Tucho Fernandez's interpretation? Is it the conservative bishop over here? I mean, all sorts of different perspectives, all sorts of different ways of understanding things. And you have the same thing in Eastern Orthodoxy. And it seems to me that I have heard a number of people, pretty much all the people in Eastern Orthodoxy who speak with great confidence seem to feel that they pretty much are the best expert on what Eastern Orthodoxy really is. And so you keep getting different answers to the same question, but there's only one Eastern Orthodoxy, you see. And it can be a little frustrating when you're on the other side, especially when you're trying to be accurate. You don't want to misrepresent. But the allegation is you are misrepresenting, even though what you're actually doing is just representing the fact that there's a lot of different answers from the other side, and there isn't just one position. There are multiple positions. So it just struck me as misleading, unkind, uncharitable, and certainly childish to make this kind of a statement. So again, I don't know the fellow, and I don't know if he's serious enough to consider down the road after. I've sort of got a list of one or two more names after the two that we have scheduled right now that would, I think, provide a real fair representation from the Eastern Orthodox side. Published authors, experienced, have proven themselves able to engage in meaningful dialogue. If this was just sort of an aberration, then yeah, maybe there would be a possibility of something down the road. But if this is the normal kind of stuff, then I just have to ask, why do this? I don't understand the motivation. It wouldn't cross my mind to ever call somebody an apologist for my side. There are some guys, there are some people I've debated that were so bad that their own people were walking out of the debate. Okay, Nader Ahmed, oh my goodness. For the Muslims, every time I see him at an event as the Muslim representative, I'm just like, wow, you guys should have retired this guy a long time ago. But he has a long history of just face-plantingly bad argumentation. When I debated him twice, and then I was like, let's get serious now. In one of those debates, the Muslims were yelling at him from the audience. Okay, they were so unhappy. So it's sort of like, okay, I could see a humorous statement like, you're one of our best apologists. But someone I don't even know, never met, someone who's actually serious, that didn't make any sense to me. And so I would just ask why something like that happened.